Hi, Mickey. Thanks for being here this morning.
You're welcome. I hope we can help some folks in the Presbytery with this video.
Yeah, me too. Thank you extra for chairing nominating committee this year.
You're welcome. It is sure turning out to be an interesting year.
That is true. And you were really on the ball. Back in July, you sent me a message after the called meeting of the Presbytery that was on July 15th. And I was thinking, I can imagine that some of the questions that you had after that meeting, other folks might have as well.
Yes, and I hope this video will help with those questions. What we tried to do with the nominating process this year is to help with what the Presbyteries voted on in July. Would you please share on the screen the Presbytery website?
Here you go.
Thanks. This is the invitation that the Presbytery of Des Moines received from the Presbytery of Prospect Hill Council. It looked to me like the nominating committee could potentially be of help with the second button point, recognizing the coordinated effort required. We propose streamlining our individual Presbytery committee structures under the guidance of our current executives to focus on essential functions. This will maximize our capacity for meaningful discernment during the critical season.
So the motions that that the nominating committee is going to be bringing to the Presbyterian meeting coming up next week on Tuesday, November 11th, they are with this goal in mind. And I will bring up those motions on the screen here. And would you mind walking folks through them? They're going to first see what I'll share first is this is on page 2 of the docket there with the nominating committee motions. And they also can be found in the packet on page 40 in the nominating committee reports section. So,
sure. The first motion is in regards to the treasurer. The treasurer is an elected officer of the Presbytery, but has not had voice or vote on the leadership council. This motion proposes that the treasurer have voice and vote as a member of the leadership council.
yeah, as stated clerk, I and the moderator of Presbytery, as well as the moderator of Leadership Council, have all coordinated a lot with our current treasurer, Bill Eckert. Sometimes it has been difficult when the treasurer isn't at Leadership Council meetings when there are questions about Presbytery finances, because as the Presbytery manual has it now, the Finance Committee chair, who is also our current treasurer, is dismissed from the meeting after giving the financial report. And we've really been grateful for Bill's service as treasurer for sure, but he's requested to conclude his term as treasurer at the end of this year.
And that's tough. It's such an important role. We are very grateful that Steve Schrader Bacher, a ruling elder from Ankeny, is willing to serve as treasurer. Steve has experience serving on the Presbytery Budget and Finance Committee, and Steve understands the potential of the treasurer serving on the Leadership Council if the Presbytery approves this proposal.
Thanks for the explanation on that first motion.
The next two motions I'm going to talk about together, but I want everyone to understand, or I hope they will understand, that we have to vote on each of the motions separately and one at a time, because the third motion depends on the action of the second motion.
Gotcha. That's important. Yep.
So These two motions are really getting on at what we voted on at the July Presbytery meeting. In order to streamline Presbytery functions, the second motion is to suspend Budget and Finance Committee for the calendar year of 2026. The third motion is in addition to the Presbytery treasurer, two financial elders would be elected to the Leadership Council for the calendar year 2026 in order to facilitate the Leadership Council assuming the responsibilities of the Budget and Finance Committee to oversee closely the finances of the Presbytery during the discernment process for potential unification with the presbyteries of North Central Iowa and Prospect Hill.
What I'm hearing, and as we've been having these conversations, is that this would be helpful during this time when the three presbyteries councils are really trying to coordinate the conversations between the three.
Folks might be wondering about what has happened at the Presbytery of North Central Iowa and the Presbytery of Prospect Hill at their fall Presbytery meetings.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm happy to update on that. North Central Iowa and Prospect Hill, they each had their fall Presbytery meetings at the end of October, and both of those presbyteries voted yes to these same two motions, three motions that the nominating committees brought. So they both voted yes to having the treasurer serve on the Presbyteries Council with voice and vote, and they have two finance elders who have now been elected to each of the councils of both North Central Iowa and Prospect Hill.
Well, thanks, Annika. That's good to know. The last motion, oh, wait, I'm jumping ahead of myself. I forgot the next one, and it's an important one also. There's a lot going on all of this. The fourth motion that the nominating committee is bringing forward was actually inspired by the Presbytery of North Central Iowa, which has had a combined Commission on Ministry, which we know as COM, and Committee on the Preparation for Ministry, that we refer to as CPM, for 5 years. So we are proposing to streamline Des Moines COM and CPM to combine to be one entity.
Yes, and Prospect Hill has also voted to give this a try, to combine the COM and CPM in 2026. And what I understand, Mickey, is that the nominating committees have asked everyone who's currently serving on Des Moines CPM if they would be comfortable serving on a combined CPM and COM. And the folks that were asked agreed to that if it's approved by Presbytery. But what folks can see on the slate here in the packet, let me scroll down to that section. Here we've got COM, CPM. If there were folks who still would only want to serve on a CPM, that's denoted next to the name. But the other folks who have been on CPM up to this point were put up on the slate in the COM section, so that folks could see how that helped, because COM has been short on folks as well. So that's another element of this.
Yes, that's correct. There's been a lot of different pieces we've had to put together in the overall puzzle of this year's nominating slate. And there's one more motion we want to look at, and that's the fifth motion, and it is that the class years of the members of the Budget and Finance Committee, Camping and Youth Committee, Committee on the Promotion of Social Righteousness, Presbytery Worship Committee, Property Committee, and Sexual Misconduct Response Committee be extended by 1 year. No new committee members be added to these 6 committees in 2026, and the committees be encouraged to meet on a strictly as needed basis. This is basically what was done during the pandemic when there were a limited opportunity for meetings.
And another piece of clarity that folks might have, now all of these proposed motions, what they're being requested for is just calendar year 2026.
That's correct.
And so for the folks currently serving on these 6 committees, their class years would remain in place during this 2026 discernment year while we're collectively discerning what happens next with committees in the Presbytery. And then we'll see what happens with 2027. But we wanted to have those folks' service years respected and for the time being.
Exactly. And so we hope that this video will maybe answer some questions before we get together on Tuesday the 11th and actually vote on the 5 motions and then vote on the slate of candidates. So
Wonderful.
We hope it will make the meeting go a little smoother.
Thanks so much for all your work on this, and I look forward to seeing you in real life, in person, on Tuesday, and everybody else in the Presbytery. Have a great weekend. Stay dry. Looks like in the forecast.
Okay, and thank you, Annika.
You're welcome.